Headed down the pit straight here. It's Christopher Hill and Hunter Engrave. Leading the field to green. The Daredevils are on the move at Suzuka. Engrave with a wing out in front here. Gonna try and take it around the outside, and does. Locks it up big time. A little bit of contact between him and Hill as they head through turn number 2 towards the S's. Engrave out in front.
Oh, it's a maid through the grass almost.
Long straightaway here.
Punting right now.
He'll have the positioning there on the inside, not cutting Engrave a lot of room there. Engrave going to fight back into the left-hander, the KCO triangle. Oh, they touch! Engrave into the pit, or into the sand rather, as Hill crosses the line in the lead. Flaum and now Camano. The 27 with the run here into turn number 1 from third, trying to go to first. Oh, he's going to touch with it. Flaum maybe. Flaum going to try and cross him over into turn number 2. Exactly what the 101 wants to see. Back on. Oh, trouble! Oh. Flaum is around. Camano piles in. And there goes Isidro up to second now.
Well, that is exactly what Christopher Hill wanted, but...
He's in the chat here tonight, and he is trying to vamos for you. Oh, touch, and he's around! Claiborne into the back of the 27. You are kidding me.
Really make up a lot of positions, and there's a lot of smart drivers.
Problems! Ryan Dye is off the track and into the barriers. Oh, man. But after navigating some early trouble, he was smooth sailing. And the sweep of the Japanese swing is going to go to the 101 of Christopher Hill. Third career Daredevil Series victory, second in a row. Last time we were here on the high banks of Michigan International Speedway, it was a 4-wide photo finish at the line. Are we in for much of the same here tonight? All indications point to yes. But we are just moments away from finding out. 66 laps here tonight for round number 6 of the 3rd season of the Daredevil Series, and it's all going to be right here on Turn 200. Howdy, folks. It's Tommy Cook. We got Matt Williamson on the way here in just a couple of minutes. Before we get into tonight's qualifying action, we'll go ahead and show you the point standings heading to the halfway mark of the season. A sweep of the Japanese swing. 2 victories in a row have vaulted Christopher Hill up to the top of the point standings. He leads by 400 points over Nicholas Isidro. James Watson still yet to go to victory lane here this season. He is 3rd in the points. Dropped the points lead after Suzuka last week. But remember, he was victorious last time we were here at Michigan in Season 1. And he did it in spectacular fashion. Speaking of Season 1 champion Dakota DeMade in 4th right now, and the leading newcomer in the standings, Ryan Dye, rounds out your top 5, headed into what is promising to be a fantastic race here tonight at Michigan. Unfortunately, we don't have any footage from the last time we were here at Michigan. That's a whole nother can of worms I don't want to get into. But what we can assure you is that it was tight, close quarters racing, no concerns of overheated right rear tires last time we were here. Is that going to change here tonight? We're not quite sure yet. The bottom line is this. It's going to be exciting racing. It is going to be possibly some chaotic racing, just like we saw last week at Suzuka, where only one driver stood tall above the rest of the field in adding themselves to the pot for the Jacksonville Speedway Zero-Zero Challenge. Victor Aldrich added himself to the pot. He was the only one out of Suzuka to finish on the lead lap with 0x for the Jacksonville Speedway Zero-Zero Challenge. He brings the total pot up to $18, headed into what is promising to be another wild race where we may not see a whole lot of entries into the late season drawing here. Shout out to Jacksonville Speedway for sponsoring the Zero-Zero Challenge. They are back after their fair break this Friday. However, instead of normally being on DIRTVIsion, they are on Flow Racing this Friday with the Mars Super Late Model Series for the Wildman Kelly Classic. So that'll be something for you to check out if you're free this Friday. Make plans to watch good old Jacksonville Speedway on Flow Racing. We thank them very much for coming on board to sponsor the 0-0 Challenge for season number 3 of the Daredevil Series. 66 laps at Michigan is on the way next. It's around the turn on turn 200.
A blind knight that uses echolocation, viewing the dark, treacherous world through sound. Trapped in a dungeon keep, endangered by combatants, where hazards lurk around every corner. Make sound to have vision, or don't feel be stealthy. Avoid impaling threats throughout the dungeon to escape. Engage with other prisoners.
Rogue Knight I've been hearing about. Could you find the key and unlock my cell?
Free them to fight back with more allies.
Let's take this guy.
The dungeon labyrinth has many paths and even more traps. Struggle through the darkness to find your freedom.
Presentation.
This is the Daredevil Series from Michigan, only on turn 200.
Yeah, buddy. It's about that time to get moving in Michigan. We got cars on the track right now for some good old-fashioned qualifying. Right now, provisional pole belongs to the Demigod, the Cornfield Kid, the Arby's Annihilator, Dakota DeMade, 37.861. And let me take a quick little look back through the old record book here. Last pole time here at Michigan was set by Michael the Turk. And it was a 37.714, so a little bit off of the pace there. Not going to break the record, I don't think, unless one of these last 3 drivers to set a time has something to say about that. But we're racing here in Michigan. I'll just be up front. A little bit lower car count than I was hoping for here tonight, but we only had 7 cars running at the end of this race in Season 1, and you know what? That's all we needed.
Yeah, you can bang it up with 2 cars here at this track. I mean, it is the epitome of the Daredevil Series, if we're being quite honest here. High octane racing, and the great thing about this place is the right rear temperature really doesn't come into play that much, as we've seen on other ovals this season. So I mean, as we get in this thing, it's not going to be drivers single spinning as much. When there's an incident, it's going to be multiple drivers getting together.
That is certainly more than likely going to be the case. Shout out to State Line Sim Racing saying he's missing the MLS All-Star game to race tonight. We do appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I did notice that Nate Seeker picked up a 1X there on his lap. I'm not sure how you really do that here, other than hitting the wall. So I'm not sure, but unfortunately Nate Seeker is down in 14th with his opening lap time. We made some news today. We've got some news to report here. Drum roll, please. Matt Williamson.
Oh,
We are picking up a new league that will begin or a new league for us, rather, right after the conclusion of the Daredevil Series Season 3. The American Sim Racing League, Southern Shores Realty, Sports Car Championship. Just had a brain fart there. I tried to memorize it instead of looking at it. ASRL Southern Shores Realty Sports Car Championship here on Wednesday nights. Boy, oh boy. You and I have a lot to learn about GT3 and GT4 multi-class racing. But this deal put together by Rick Thompson and Corey Rutherford. First of all, ASRL, Sim Racing League history. They are one of the first online racing leagues ever. They have been racing together since NASCAR Racing 3, which came out in 1999. They are one of the very first. They have a double-digit league number in iRacing. That is how historic this ASRL group is. This is only their second season of sports car racing, and it's going to be right here on Turn 200 starting in late September. Holy cow. I cannot tell you how excited I am for this deal, for us to be able to put up some sports car racing on the channel.
Yeah, I mean, we've always talked about how we want to get some different things on Turn 200, and this is certainly different than what we have been doing previously. Of course, we have some road courses every once in a while with the Daredevil Series, and really every once in a while with stock cars and truck racing, but getting to dip our toes into GT3 and GT4 sports cars, this is exactly what the doctor had ordered for the boys at Turn 200, and we could not be more excited.
And I do believe, I'll have to get clarification, but I'm going to say I'm 90% sure that Kansas Speedway date is not the oval, and it is probably the infield road course, if I had to guess. But other than that, I mean, I'm a little bit partial to the October 18th date. I picked that track, full disclosure there. Willow Springs, one of the newest tracks. Also, and oh boy, I think it's Jerez. I'm not 100% sure. That is one of the newer tracks. You and I both have to buy and digest this track here before October 25th. But, I mean, outside of those, a lot of tracks that we're familiar with. Red Bull Ring is amazing. Laguna Seca is one of our favorites. Of course, Sears Point is Sonoma, the Sonoma Cup layout there. That's going to be fantastic. New Jersey Motorsports Park for being a tech track. It's a lot of fun to drive. It just looks a little plain, but it drives really fun. Of course, Monza Combined, you and I are all about that. And Lime Rock Park, another favorite here on the channel, and the entire whole-ass Nürburgring as well. Holy cow. That is going to be insane.
Yeah, especially, too, for that one to be the season ender. That's something special.
So these are doubleheader races. 2 races each night, one 20-minute sprint and one 40-minute feature. So all up to, I believe, the November 29th date will count towards the Turn 200 championship point standings. Really excited. Can't thank American Sim Racing League and Southern Shores Realty enough for thinking of us and bringing us on board for their next season of competition. Again, starting in September, right after the conclusion of the Daredevil Series Season 3. Speaking of which, that provisional poll for Dakota DeMade will end up being the poll, I do believe. So premature congratulations to him. We did just pick up 3 more drivers for this session, though. Right at the 11th hour, Matt Wagner is back in the field here tonight, as is Drew White, the Oval Master, and Neil Lusher. Always right in under the wire, but so happy to have Neil Lusher back in the field here tonight, as we are with Matt Wagner and Drew White as well. But 15 seconds before we can move into the race session here. And the checkered flag is out. It is official. It is his first pole of the season, 4th of his career for the demigod, Dakota DeMade. He will lead the field to the green. The driver that is on a hot streak will be starting to his outside. The 101 of Christopher Hill has won 2 races in a row. He's the new points leader. He starts in second. How about your leading newcomer contender in the point standings? Ryan Dye is going to start in third. He is itching to get after it here tonight. Starting to his outside will be Hunter Engrave, who has some unfinished business with the 101. That'll be starting directly in front of him. The 7 starts in fourth. Nicholas Isidro second in the points, fifth on the starting grid here tonight, with Christopher Kresge starting to his outside in sixth. Director is back here tonight. He will start in seventh. Cody Claiborne will start in the 8th position. And then it is Venom Truck Series drivers on row number 5, Steve Roman on the inside, Paul Ellison on the outside. Austin Lafferty, after his top 10 at Suzuka last week, will start in the 11th position here tonight. Zachary Flaum looking for a bounce back after his rough exit from Suzuka. He will start in 12th. James Watson and Victor Aldrich then on row number 7. Nate Siefker and Andy Poliski on row number 8. And then it is our late joiners behind them, Neil Lusher, Drew White, Christian Arribas, and Matt Wagner. Rounds out your 20-car starting lineup here for 66 laps around Michigan. What are some of the strategy notes that you have ahead of tonight's wild race at Michigan for round number 6?
Well, it's going to be a one-stopper. I think our fuel window here tonight is around 40 laps, although from what we've seen in the past, not sure we're really going to have to pay too much attention to that unless some people decide to just not come in and pit. Then we'll have to pay attention. Unlimited tires, although we've already seen this season, we don't really need them. 0 fast repairs, as always. That's the biggie here on the ovals at Michigan, and it's going to be very, very super speedway-like. So some drivers are going to try to get to the front as soon as possible. Some will try to hang back a little bit and see if they can be there towards the end. Of course, no bonus points in the Daredevil Series, so you have to be there at the end if you want to score.
Full 2 minutes of grid time taken up there, as I think Matt Wagner is still connecting to the session. I don't think he made the starting grid, unfortunately, so he will have to start from the pits. Maybe after some of the luck that he's had, or the bad luck, rather, at the starts of these races, starting from the pits may be his preferred option, quite honestly. I can't even imagine the butterflies going through some of these guys' stomachs here as they are getting ready to roll. I mean, this is a winnable race for every single driver that is starting here tonight. You just got to survive. And sometimes that is easier said than done.
Much easier said than done. The problem is these cars are so incredibly tough to get slowed down. I mean, you try to stomp on the brakes and you end up spinning yourself out, so you got to be really careful with how you try to slow down for competitors in front of you. It puts you in a tough spot.
Field is getting bunched up, making their final preparations here. Average speeds over 190 miles an hour, 200 miles at the end of the straightaway, and 132 miles the distance here for round number 6. The Daredevils are on the move in Michigan.
Wow, actually pretty buttoned up from what I expected. We've seen 3, 4, even 5 wide into turn 1. Ryan Dye looked like made some contact with Dakota DeMade, I think, coming out of turn number 2. That was close. Dye had to make a huge save. And Hunter Engrave is to the top spot here.
Excellent opening lap here for the 7. Pace in the field here. Side by side for second, side by side for fourth. Peaking 3 wide here is Isidro on the outside of Ryan Dye. with Christopher Kresge to his outside, making a big run here up through the middle.
Yeah, he pushes all the way through 3 cars there. And he's actually pushing to the lead.
Clear up if he wants it. Not sure if he wants to make that move here on lap number 3. But he is at the head of the line here on the inside. 3 drivers started from the pits. They are working nose to tail well behind the rest of this field. It's Lusher, Arribas, and Wagner, 18th through 20th.
Unfortunately for the Oval Master, Drew White, it looks like he's having some possible connection issues. I've seen him blinking quite a bit. He's kind of staying in the back of the pack, hoping that it's going to fix itself. Here goes Ryan Dye to the top of the track.
Ryan Dye, a Michigan hater, but I'm sure he is loving this, has a big smile on his face as he is leading the way in the Daredevil Series. Your winner last night in the All-Star race for the Venom Truck Series. Looking to go back-to-back. Down to the bottom.
Now, we've pretty much stayed 2 by 2 here for most of this. I'm pretty surprised. Seen a couple of 3 wide moves, but really nothing crazy so far, but a lot of laps here.
Dye leads the lap, but here comes Isidro working back to the outside.
Dye all the way down there on the yellow line. It gets pretty squirrely down there. You can get loose real easy.
And that's the point to your point about earlier about tire temperature. You don't see the big snaps like you've seen at other tracks. We're at basically lap 15 usually. The car gets borderline uncontrollable. But if you do really hug the bottom like that, it can start to creep up to where you're a little bit squishy on that right rear tire. So it's probably at the back of your mind if you're working the bottom. But this race was won and dominated from the middle lane last time. Of course, a new tire model has gone in since we visited Michigan and all the way back in Season 1. So maybe that is not quite the meta. But only 6 laps in, it's hard to tell at this point. What isn't hard to tell is we got a great battle for the lead, and everybody's minding their P's and Q's throughout the field.
Yeah, Isidro and Ryan Dye kind of swapped lanes here. Dye now to the top again. Isidro to the bottom.
Kresge a little bit off the bottom there. It allows Engrave to take the 3rd spot outright here as Dye and Isidro still battling side by side for the top spot. Something happened to Christian Arribas, but he was all back by himself, so I'm not sure maybe if he hit the wall, but he's in the pits.
Let's take a look at the heat of the action here. We'll go on board. Trying to decide who we're going to go on board with here. I'm thinking
you really can't go wrong.
I think we're going to go with Zachary Flaum. A little bit towards the middle of the pack.
Battling for 9th right now, Flaum is.
This is what you're looking at here. Everybody, especially on this top side, taking it pretty easy, not trying to push the tires too hard. I think of any of the tracks that you're going to actually have tire wear, this is probably one of them.
It is possible. This is, again, the legacy version of Michigan. So it's older, it's bumpier, and it's cheaper.
You can see everybody just kind of content to stay where they are right now. We generally don't see that in this series. I'm very surprised, but it's definitely a different look than we're used to seeing.
I think maybe some of these drivers saw the Venom All-Star race last night and took some notes. Speaking of which, Garrett Rainey, who did not get to complete the race last night, hanging out in the chat. He says, I'm here for the madness. Hoping to get another whoopsie out of me. Yes, I cursed on air last night. I apologize. So many people wrote in, were very offended about it.
Yeah, if only they were here for Thunderdome.
Yeah, if only. We might not be here if we had more people watching Thunderdome.
That's a good point. Platform switch saved us.
Yes, definitely. Cedro and Dye been battling side by side for the better part of the last 6 laps. Engrave and Kresge sort of trying to position themselves to make the move if they need to. Dakota DeMade is hanging up here as well. Ty Richter, Steve Roman creeping up into the mix here as well.
When we start talking about putting yourself in position to make some moves, I think probably turns 3 and 4 is where I don't know why. Might just be my driving style. That seems to be where I can make the best moves. I think you get a better run off of turn 4 than you can get off of turn 2. And you don't want to be too high. You think you would want to be high to get a big run, but it seems like the biggest runs actually come more from the middle of the corner. Just up above, maybe a lane and a half up above the bottom groove.
It's what worked for James Watson last year to take the lead and be in a good defensive position on the final lap. Speaking of which, he is quietly plodding along right now just outside of the top 15. One of the last cars attached to the lead pack here. And we started this race with 20. We have lost Christian Arribas. And we have 2 more cars hanging all by themselves out in the back, Matt Wagner and Neil Lushard. Hoping for a caution at some point, but really they're not losing a ton of time to the leaders here, so they got some time to play with.
Now Ryan Dye is utilizing that middle. He was staying up a little higher before. Came down a little bit to squeeze Isidro down there in turns 3 and 4. Still not able to get a huge run, but able to edge out in front there for a moment.
And this is not a one-to-one, from NASCAR, stock cars, super speedway style racing to this. It is definitely takes more discipline. Or it takes a different skill set, I would argue. Some of these open wheel guys are probably more familiar with racing open wheel cars around Michigan. And it's a lot more similar to the U.S. open wheel C-Class forbidden car. But for a guy like Ryan Dye, who has done a fantastic job, is podium in a top 5 this season, I believe. He's taken to it pretty well and looks pretty comfortable out front. But all that to say is he still is trying to learn some things. Like you said, maybe seeing what a squeeze does, seeing what running these different lines does to his tires, to his runs themselves. Still a lot of things to learn here.
Side by side, Isidro kind of lost most of his help. Vroman trying to suck up on the bottom here.
Isidro's lost his help, but the top side has the numbers game. But again, you don't need a ton of help here. And in fact, Isidro is going to be completely clear on Ryan Dye here. As Steve Roman now working up into trying to make a battle for second or the lead. Hunter Engrave is pulling back up. Cedra a little bit onto the apron, a little bit wiggly there.
You know what's funny is we know the history, and we've had some history here at Michigan in these cars, and it's a little bit eerie right now. It's almost like that eye in the middle of the storm type of thing where it's calm where you're at, but you know there's chaos around you somewhere. And that's almost what it feels like right now.
And to be clear, last time we were here in Michigan, there were only about 2 or 3 cautions. It just was that, it didn't take much, and then everybody was on the back of a flatbed wrecker. That was almost what happened there. We're trying to form the jigsaw, if you will.
And here comes Roman. He has finally gotten to the back of Isidro, and he is looking to at least push, if not maybe make a move for the lead here. Dips a couple tires underneath that yellow line. He loses a lot of time in turns 1 and 2. I just don't think he's quite figured out that bottom lane yet. But then he comes right back and has great corners through turns 3 and 4.
And Venom Truck Series-wise, the bulk of our attention has gone to Ryan Dye because he's been putting up the finishes. But, Steve Vroman, Paul Ellison, Andy Poliski, all 3 of them have run up front in these races and just had horrendous luck. Paul Ellison especially, to that point. He is always the top car on the finishing order to post a DNF. It feels like every single race now. And it's not hardly, if at all, been his fault. So, it's just because the results aren't there. These guys are really trying. And Vroman right now showing that here. Getting up here, mixing it up. Gets Isidro a little bit of momentum here on the bottom. And Isidro is clear up on Dye for the time being.
Now Austin Lafferty, somebody we really haven't mentioned a whole lot this season. He's had some really bad luck as well. He's entered the top 5 now.
Wheel to wheel, Isidro and Dye still duking it out for the top spot. Roman to try and help here on the bottom. Engrave and Dakota DeMade, your top 5. After coming to put lap 23 up on the board.
And we're on board with Austin Lafferty right now, and you can hear how much he has to lift down here in turns 1 and 2. That bottom lane just loses, seems like they lose quite a bit of momentum down there.
And it could be an arrow wash sort of thing as well. So you would think with the draft that you would be able to really make up a lot of time here through the corners, but it is definitely not the case.
I'm going to go on board Kickbot Cam with Isidro and see if he has to lift just as much. And definitely not. He almost doesn't lift at all. So, and he's loose down there, though.
Ooh.
But Isidro did not have to lift pretty much at all going into turn 1, so it may very well be kind of an arrow wash sort of thing where Lafferty has to do that to keep from pushing up the racetrack.
James Watson just made up a ton of spots here on this lap, and looking at his car reminded me that the Matthew Short pick of the race here tonight, and I'm not going to give the reasoning. Anybody in the Discord probably knows. But it's Pato O'Ward. He is the pick of the race here tonight, so we'll see. He's 0 for 5 so far this season, but he's had some good runs.
I got Flinky Roberts in the chat saying that he thinks, man,
oh
Lafferty.
Boy! Woohoo!
Lafferty and Vroman very, very close here. They are 3 wide with Engrave.
Yeah, Vroman trying to get some clean air no matter what here. They're 3 wide just behind them. I think Watson is in the middle of that.
Blinky just thinks that these circular steering wheels look cursed for some reason. They do look interesting. Here goes Lafferty.
All right.
Oh, man.
Lafferty, oh, he's out of shape. Hang on to it. Holy cow. Boy, it is probably 2 or 3 in the morning where Austin Lafferty is in the Scottish Highlands. I bet he's wide awake right now, though. Wheeling and dealing. One car all the way up by the wall, sorry, in the back.
You got a stopper put in front of him. James Watson, you mentioned it. He is on the move now.
He's not waiting around any longer. Watson on the attack. Already to the outside of Lafferty here. And what can he do? He is going to stick it 3 wide for the lead. Doesn't work out this time. He should have a nice run down the back straightaway here, though. Where is he going to go with Dye? Feeds him a block. Looking for a big push down the back stretch. Oh, boy. Dye down in front of Isidro. He used it.
For being open-wheel cars, these things can push like you've never pushed before. And Ryan Dye just got a gift. Oh, from James Watson, but Watson will now look to get around the number 200.
He got a gift from Watson in return, tried to give him a lump of coal there with a big block out of turn 4. And Ryan Dye over the radio is pitting. So maybe this fuel window is a little bit shorter than we thought. As we're getting ready for pit stops, they're 4 wide just behind him. Isidro is following him in. Dye with a lot of momentum here. Hopefully he can get this slowed down.
There were a few that came in there. It looks like
DeMade and Flaum.
Yep. And I'm not sure the pit window's that small. I think that was just a choice. But I would assume most everybody's going to come in here.
Yeah, James Watson's coming in this time.
So maybe it is smaller than we think. Maybe they're going to have to make a second stop. That would be unbelievable. Watson doesn't have a lot of people come with him here. Engrave and Drew White are the only 2.
So that gives the lead right now to Nate Siefker.
Siefker's been awfully quiet here tonight. He's one that I feel like always pushes to the front early, and that is pretty much the exact opposite of what he's done so far tonight.
The 2 drivers out by themselves that had lost the draft, Wagner and Lusher, have both come in now. Bulk of the people are coming in right now. Kresge going to sail it in here.
Lafferty did the same.
No black flags that I have seen. So good job.
Watson, Engrave out of the pits.
Hopefully everybody can get into their stalls without any issues.
Isidro and Dye are trying to stay with them. I think they're too far behind for the draft. We'll see where they cycle out.
Unfortunately, I think on pit exit, Matt Wagner is going to pick up a black flag. It looked like he may have had a tire over the white line there on the apron.
And it looks like Watson will take the lead here. Actually, he does. It was close. So it's Watson, Engrave, and Christopher Kresge, 1, 2, 3. And I think it's going to take a little bit for the runs to kind of get together, but there will be about 6 or 7 cars in this lead pack once it's all said and done, I believe.
Rainman in the chat says tire wear on the right side, about 89 to 93.
It's a little better than I thought it would be.
So Drew White has picked up a 1X, I believe. Not sure from what, but he is still blinking here pretty mightily. So who really knows? Caution free at Michigan would not have thunk it. That's for sure.
No, especially not on those pit entries. That's not an easy entry.
No.
That last group that came in, that was a lot of cars to all have a clean pit entrance.
So Ryan Dye in 7th is 1.9 seconds ahead of Zachary Flaum. And you need about 1.1 to really separate yourself. So these top 7 are looking pretty good here. Assuming we don't have a caution.
Yeah, that's a kicker. The fuel situation could get interesting here. Some of those guys that came in really late, I mean, is it possible they'll just try to save fuel on track?
Nothing's impossible as wow. Hill and Isidro actually picked up a 4X there.
Wow. Now, these cars, you can register a 4X and really not have any damage. It's happened to me plenty of times. So, if I had to guess, looking at the incident, that's likely what happened there.
So, behind our top 7 here, Zachary Flaum, Steve Vroman, and Dakota DeMade. Flaum is asking Vroman if they want to try and bump draft their way back up to the main pack here. So that'll be something to watch as Isidro and Ryan Dye right back to the front like they never stopped. Well,
wow.
Oh, boy.
Close quarters with Isidro and Ryan Dye.
Just when you think it might calm down, no. But if you're enjoying the race tonight, let us know. Drop us a chat. We've had quite a bit of activity here on the channel of late, and appreciate everybody coming and watching and chatting and hanging out with us. And we are past halfway in this one, so I think the betting window is open.
Ryan Dye has cleared Isidro, and actually Kresge has now as well if he wants it.
Also to point out, Flaum, Vroman, DeMade, they are reeling in this front group little by little. So we could have 3 more into the mix here.
So the bump draft is working back there.
Yes.
And
they're about a tenth to 2 tenths up on this lead group.
It's not a small gain. I mean, a couple tenths a lap is a good amount. And it's not going to be too long. They're just going to be able to sniff the draft outright here. And actually, they might already be. It's close.
It is close now. They're about 2 tenths out from being outright in draft range here. But it seems all but inevitable at this point unless these guys fall into line and start bump drafting themselves.
And Dye
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, Dye cleared Isidro. Kresge stays with Dye on the top, but Isidro can just mount these huge runs seemingly out of nowhere all by himself. He's right there dead even with the 200 again now.
Cozy Freckles saying making Echo Blade decals while watching. Dakota is closing up. They are within draft range here.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely right here. They'll be able to get the Seifker here probably pretty soon now. Within 3/4 of a second. And if they time it right, they could pass 2-3 cars here with the run that they could get.
Personal best laps from Vroman and DeMade that time, so they are getting massive runs here. Now behind DeMade is Paul Ellison, 3.5 seconds behind. So that one is that one's going to be a little tougher to pull off.
Well, we're here with less than 25 laps to go, 23 laps to go that time around. This race has gone by pretty quick, obviously, because of all green flag racing, which we were not expecting here.
And that could change, but a 44-lap run to open a Daredevil race on an oval is a record, for sure. We've, I think, maybe had a longer run on an oval, I think, to close out the Auto Club race. But it is close. Really don't get many long green flag runs on ovals. So this has been a treat in the most unexpected way. And now it's about to be a 10-car battle.
Well, now Christopher Kresge, he decides to ditch Ryan Dye. He's up to the third lane here, but you lose turns 1 and 2. So he slots back in behind the 200.
Man, what about Ryan Dye?
He's just adapted well. I mean, we've talked about it a lot, that even though it seems kind of like super speedway racing, it is very different, and he's just adapted accordingly and has put together the good finishes.
Kresge trying to make the squeeze happen here on the outside. Here is Zachary Flaum. Shot out of a cannon. Up into the mix here. James Watson up here now. Christopher Hill.
Yeah, we're going to start jockeying here in just a second.
Oh, jockey away. The race is on at the Preakness. Isidro on the apron! Oh, boy, save it. Incredible.
He saves it, but he's going to lose a ton of time here. He'll get passed by maybe 7 cars.
And now Kresge is taking his spot here on the bottom.
Not only on the bottom, he's to the lead. He tried to slide up and almost throw a block on Dye in the middle of the corner. He thought better of it.
Flaum and Vroman on the outside. Watson pulling up on the inside with Christopher Hill behind him. As Ryan Dye and Christopher Kresge. RIL versus VTS. The meeting of the worlds here at the front of the field at Michigan for the Daredevils.
And behind them, they were thinking about 3 wide there for a second.
Comes a point where they are going to stop thinking about it, and it's just going to become second nature.
There's plenty of room, but you don't want to give up the room. You still want to squeeze your competitors. That's when it gets wild. And here goes Isidro. He goes 3 wide.
Immediately, Watson rolls out of that. 424 flying back up through the field. Wants to get back up to the front.
Dakota DeMade, he's that 10th car in this pack. He is just hanging out.
Just tense. I just feel like a big ball of anxiety here, sitting here. Mouse is over the caution button on my computer.
I don't know. This is an A-class group of drivers here. Pretty much everybody in the field tonight. So it could very well go all the way to the end with no caution. But this is a special one in the history books of the Daredevil series. I'd have to think somebody will make a desperation move here towards the end.
We may not be done with pit stops. Over the radio, Ty Richter is coming to pit road this time. This may have ended up being a two-stop race. Richter, Ellison, and White all boxing along with Andy Poliski. So my fuel calculation may have been just a tick off, and it wasn't going to be much for it to be a two-stop race. So as great as these drivers did getting on to pit road, they're going to have to do it again.
And they were literally like 2 laps from being able to make it a one-stopper.
Now these drivers are going to be exiting pit road right as the leaders approach. Kresge up and close there to the wheels of die again. These guys are going to come out right in the middle of the lead pack here.
Yes, this will this will make this very, very interesting.
Uh-huh.
Couple lappers getting mixed in there. Oh, one goes around.
Poliski up and into the wall.
Seifert, Watson, and Christopher Hill into pit. Poliski was just, oh, there it goes. Oh, he saves it.
Oh my gosh. How? Incredible.
I thought Kresge was going around for sure. I don't know how he saves this car.
Wow. Everybody's feeling the pressure here.
And I believe that's Ellison and Richter right in front of the leaders here that were drafting together. And they will stay low. Sidro trying to find some room to work with. He'll just stay behind him for now. And it's not like everybody's just going to go by him. I mean, they could stay there for the duration until everybody comes to pit. Unless they have some damage, but I doubt it.
Boy.
Now goes a Sidro. He's 3 wide.
Oh!
Oh, no!
Wow.
Oh, and one that got the worst of it was Dakota DeMade.
DeMade, Lafferty, Richter, Ellison, Isidro, all with damage. And our first caution of the race on lap 55. Let's take a look at it.
Well, Isidro's going to go for the lead here. He'll go 3 wide with the leader, Ryan Dye, and Paul Ellison, who came into pit and was a lapped car at this point. I couldn't quite tell who's doing what here, but nonetheless, Isidro and Ellison get together here in turn number 1.
Ellison looks like he is leaving space for, I think that's Ty Richter behind him. And so Ellison is not in the best position here on the bottom. Isidro does move down a little bit, it looks like.
Looks like they both kind of move towards each other. Now, what happened to Dakota DeMade? It looked like he just got down on the apron trying to slow down and spun out all by himself, and he does. He's trying to avoid this incident. He goes down underneath the apron and clips the grass. And he doesn't touch the wall. So he's actually going to be just fine. At first, when I looked at his car, it looked like he had some damage, but actually, I don't believe so.
Nothing a quick pit stop can't fix here.
And now everybody else that hadn't come into pit yet is going to come in for fuel. And the early pit stop from Seifker, Hill, and Watson is going to pay off.
That was good news for Andy Poliski as well, who had gone around and never came to a stop on the track, so didn't feel like he needed to throw the caution. I'll have to go back and look at that one, though, after the race and see if I'm in the wrong about that. But that'll be good news for him. He can get some damage fixed here.
We have a few drivers getting lined up for a free pass here.
I believe it's Richter and Lafferty
And
Matt Wagner, yes. Yep. I tell you what, Wagner has had, I mean, his season has been 50% the worst luck you've ever seen and 50% unbelievable luck. So, you know, he's rocking probably a 3-leaf clover. Maybe, I guess a 4. He's averaging a 4. Drew White is being gracious again and is pitting here away from the rest of the field to move himself to the back of the field.
All right. Here go those 3 drivers. It's Richter, Wagner, Lafferty. They will get their wave around. Seifker will be the leader. And this restart is going to be very, very important. If you don't get a good one, it takes a while to develop a run, and you kind of put yourself up at a disadvantage here. So we'll do a full field rundown. It'll be Seifker, Christopher Hill, James Watson, Isidro, and Ryan Dye in the top 5. So Isidro and Dye still get to start towards the front here. Then it's Vroman, Engrave, Christopher Kresge, Zach Flound, Dakota DeMade, Victor Aldrich, Cody Claiborne, Neil Lusher, Andy Poliski will still be up here with Drew White, Ty Richter, Austin Lafferty, and Matt Wagner, who just got their wave rounds.
18 cars still on track. Anybody can win it here. Seifker, Hill, Watson, 3, the OGs. Green flag is back in the air.
Not a great start for Seifker.
No. Not a great start further back in the pack here as well. Hoping this field doesn't get too fragmented here.
Some of these drivers farther back in the pack, they're going to need to understand they have to work together to make their way if they want a chance at a win here, but it's getting pretty stretched out. The top 5 all together here.
And that should help out if these guys are all going to start scrapping away here. Really opens that air up for everybody to try and catch up. But the gap between 7th and 8th right now is almost a second already as we're going 3 wide. Dye trying to make it work on the outside. Seifker on the bottom. Watson to his outside. Still 3 wide.
Watson didn't give Siefker much room, but Siefker holds the wheel nice and steady on the bottom. And here comes Steve Vroman putting himself 3 wide.
Vroman in the mix here. In the closing
Vroman.
laps.
Oh! Nearly
4X.
contact. Here comes
4X.
Vroman to make it 3 wide.
Here we go. Oh, boy. Tight here on the bottom. Watson and Siefker. Bump drafting. Oh, boy. 3 wide, and then there's Engrave. Wow. 4 to go.
Vroman, Siefker, Watson. Here comes Christopher Hill on the apron.
On the apron, 4 wide for the lead. It's a legal move.
I think
Hill
Siefker
is-
gives him a break.
Hill is up to the top spot.
Oh, and some contact
They
between
touch.
Watson and Christopher Hill.
That was a 4X. These drivers doing an incredible job. Pushing each other and their cars to the absolute limit here. Who was going to give first? Three laps to go.
Vroman blocked a Sidro in the back of this pack all the way up to the wall.
Oh, we got a wreck in the back. The caution is out. Neil Usher, Austin Lafferty. Oh, we're going to overtime for the 3rd oval in a row.
And don't forget, it's 1 overtime.
Yes. But Austin Lafferty, Neil Usher, it sounded like Drew White may have been involved in some manner in this as well. To take a look at the replay here.
Well, most definitely. They're 3
Oh.
wide coming out of 4. So through 4, it's Poliski, and I'm actually not sure who this is. Might be... Oh, that's Neil Lusher. They're side-by-side coming out of 4, and then Lafferty gets a big run here. He's going to put it 3 wide in the middle between those two, and the gap just closes. There's really no room to work with. Well, they get side-by-side, and then Lafferty just comes up the track a hair. They are so close together. And then Lusher and Lafferty will go for a ride, and Drew White was disappeared at this time, but I think he might have gotten some weird netcode contact sort of thing.
Our representatives from the United Kingdom have unfortunately made a grand exit here out of this race, sending us to overtime in just our second and will be the final caution of the night.
Second caution, final restart. 1 attempt at the overtime here in the Daredevil Series.
And Christopher Hill is leading again, trying to be a three-peat winner here.
Well, he made that move for 4 wide on the apron. We've seen it a bunch of times here at Michigan, and we've seen it end poorly many of those times. Siefker is a veteran of the series. He understood what was about to happen, and I think he graciously just kind of backed out and let Christopher Hill have the spot on the bottom going into turn number 1.
We've had several back-to-back race winners before. Michael the Turk, Dakota DeMade, Gavin Sanders last season, Christopher Hill on a 2-race run, looking for a 3-peat. It'd be an incredible feat here in Daredevil Series competition.
And we're on board right now with Christopher Hill as we're going around behind the pace car. He has this thing in a lower gear. I think he's trying to burn some fuel off to make that car a little bit lighter for this final restart. I want to take a look at this move from Christopher Hill on the apron. The Watson dies Seifker 3 wide here. Hill has a big run. He decides to take it below the white line, which, as you mentioned, is legal. And if he hauls the mail off into here and Seifker stays in his spot, it's pretty much death for just about everybody up there. Seifker just kind of slides back and says, all right, we'll keep racing. So heads up, veteran move there from the 2 of Seifker. And Christopher Hill is definitely trying to burn off as much fuel as possible here. Trying to keep the RPMs high. James Watson kind of doing the same. So everybody is doing their best.
Keep these tires warm, get these fuel loads light. And 2 laps of your best defense at the pack-style 2-mile oval with the tri-oval apron inbounds. Oh, boy. Hill going for 3 in a row. Also trying to keep the points lead. A lot at stake here for the 101 heading into the mid-season break. Seifker, Watson, Vroman, and Engrave, your top 5. Dye, Isidro, Claiborne, Flaum, and Aldrich, your top 10. 2 laps to go.
Hill with a massive jump on the restart.
Seifker looking for a big run, but that is a huge gap to try and overcome here.
I think he's going to need to hope that Watson kind of sticks with him here for just a bit, which he does. Smart move by Watson. Farther back, Vroman and Engrave trying to make their way up to the front as well. Not sure they'll have enough time.
Here's Seifker. He took a peek to the outside. Down onto the apron now. Watson going to look to the outside. White flag, 1 to go. Here goes Seifker. Three drivers that have won on the big pack-style tracks before. Watson, Seifker, Hill. 4 other drivers trying to make the moves to get back up here and maybe long shot their way into a victory. Hill on the inside. Seifker had the wing ahead in corner entry. Hill pulls ahead here on the bottom. Seifker still maintaining position on the outside. With the bump from James Watson, they fan out 3 wide. It's Nate Seifker to the line to win it. Seifker ahead of Hill by 37 one-thousandths of a second. An incredible finish again here in Michigan. Oh.
Wow, Seifker gets it done while you're here in the booth. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's about time. What Matt's alluding to there is this is career victory number 2. Much in the same fashion of John Kay. Nate Seifker's lone victory up to this point came when I was not here and Matt had the solo broadcast at Pocono. But Seifker, a season and a half removed from that victory, is back in victory lane, and he's going to do it at Michigan. And when Seifker's done with those burnouts, we have to take another look at that. Not the closest finish we've had, even here at Michigan, but, I mean, when you're talking thousandths of a second here, that's still pretty tight.
We're going to let Seifker get to the victory lane here. He's trying to make his way.
It's harder than it looks.
It is. You gotta maneuver your way through the grass. He's going to get his picture taken here at the leading sports drink Victory Lane. And, of course, we're going to go take a look at the finish here. And I thought that the 4 drivers behind them might have a shot at a run. It was just, I mean, literally one straightaway too late, I think.
Yes.
Christopher Hill on the bottom. James Watson is going to give Siefker a huge shot to boost him forward and then try to fan out for the 3 wide. Of course, those are both TWR drivers, so Watson giving one of the TWR drivers a little shot, a little boost, and then tries to go for the win, but Siefker gets it done. And as they're coming across the line, I mean, Vroman is right behind Christopher Hill. I mean, they were not far from being able to get into that mix, just like 2 seconds too late.
How about Steve Vroman? 4th place finish here tonight for him. Hunter Ingrave back in the top 5 after disaster last week. A lot of drivers going to be happy with how their nights have turned out, and especially for Nate Siefker. Hope to get the podium finishing drivers up here in the booth in just a second, but for now, let's go ahead and give you the full finishing rundown here. It is career win number 2 for Nate Siefker. So excited to get to him back in booth 200 here proper in just a bit. It's his 2nd podium of the season. Christopher Hill on an incredible run right now. 2nd place finish here tonight. It is the 7th podium of his career, his 3rd in a row. James Watson, 7th career podium for him as well. He goes up 10 spots here tonight. Oh, by the way, Nate Siefker went up 14 spots here tonight. 4th place, again, best career finish for Steve Vroman in Daredevil competition. Awesome run for him. Hunter Engrave will round out your top 5. Ryan Dye back in the 6th position. Nicholas Isidro will finish in 7th. Cody Claiborne in 8th. Victor Aldrich keeps the top 10 streak alive with a 9th place finish. And Zachary Flaum back in the top 10 here tonight as well. Dakota DeMade all the way back there in 11th for the pole sitter. Christopher Kresge back in 12th. Matt Wagner will finish in 13th. Drew White back in 14th. Andy Pleski in 15th. And Ty Richter, the final car running in 16th. It'll be DNFs here tonight for Austin Lafferty, Neil Lusher, Paul Ellison, and Christian Arribas. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get some podium interviews rolling. He's back in booth 200. Your 3rd place finisher here tonight is James Watson, the season 1 winner here at Michigan. Too short of duplicating that here tonight, but boy, it was close.
Yeah, man, I got so hosed when that caution came out. If it had happened like a split second later, I would have. If I would have just been able to restart like 1st or 2nd, I would have been okay. But like I just barely got that down to 3rd. That killed my race. You know, just kind of the story of my season. Just can't catch a break.
Well, you've been incredibly consistent here this season, and you know what I think a big positive note for your race here tonight is I think you were able to do pretty much exactly what you wanted to do when you wanted to do it. You're riding around in the back there for a long time, and then all of a sudden the switch flipped, and you drove yourself basically up to the lead there before that first set of pit stops.
Yeah, I was able to use some of what I did last time we were here to good effect, and had a lot of pace. I just needed more luck with the yellows. Needed one not to come out right there.
Matt, what do you got for James?
Hey, congrats on the P3 coming to the finish there. It looked like you gave a little extra shot to Siefker before you tried to make a pass for the win. Was that just a bit of good faith to the driver of the number 2?
I mean, I own both cars, so it was kind of a moot point regardless. So I was just trying to shove Nate, see if I can get some sort of slingshot going from behind, and yeah, it just didn't quite work.
Well, let's get some shout-outs going for you here.
Yes, sir. Got to thank everyone at Team Watson Racing and Team Watson Racing Setups. Use code WATSPIN39 for 10% off at checkout. Got to thank Martin Sports Sim Racing Apparel, ZAS Designs, and Dizzy V Designs for doing my paints. And as always, Chris Graham and the National Racing Network.
Alrighty. Keep your head held high, partner. It was another good race for you here tonight, and you're back on the podium. Hope to see you back up here again in a couple of weeks.
Here's hoping.
Alrighty, we'll go ahead and bring up your runner-up finisher then. The 101 of Christopher Hill keeps his podium streak alive here tonight. Well, welcome back to Booth 200. It feels like we didn't really call out your name there until the back half of the race, keeping a low profile there towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, the first part of it was, attempting the the one stop, and so it was just at all costs trying to save enough to see if we couldn't make it. And then there was a point where we realized we couldn't, and I was kind of bummed we got that caution, the first caution there, because me, James, and Nate, I think we had a good strategy going there that would have been fun to see how it played out, but. It all worked out in the end. I'm a little bummed to lose it at the line, but hey, at least it's to a teammate, and so that was good fun.
Matt, what do you got?
Well, I want to talk about that 4-wide move on the apron that got you to the lead before the cautions kind of came out there. Did Seifker kind of give it to you there, or did you just have that big of a run?
I think I pretty much had that run. I mean, I don't know if he didn't want to lead at that point, I mean, I thought about it after the fact, and I was like, maybe I should have stayed back here for a second just to have a better chance, because once you're in the lead, it's kind of like, you're probably a sitting duck. And then I, also on my restart there, I was so happy that I got the jump kind of, and then I was like, oh, you idiot, you just made a bigger draft that they can get you even faster. So, just learning this oval stuff, it's not my. It's not my usual specialty, so to speak, but whatever. We still end up with a good result, and so can't complain too much,
Yeah, you're leaving the big pack style race with the points lead that you entered with, so that's some good news heading into the mid-season off-week break. What's of course you're a road course guy. What are some of the races that you're looking forward to in the back half?
I mean, honestly, all of them. I don't remember even what's on the schedule, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, let's see here. Let me pull it up here. What's up next? The Daytona road course could be a lot of fun. That's one I'm usually do. I mean, all the road courses. I don't know much about the ovals, to be perfectly honest, because I just don't run them enough. I mean, whenever they come up on a schedule, I run them, But it's like I don't know which ones I like and which I don't, and so it's kind of. Yeah, we'll find out once we get into those other ones, but I'm definitely looking. I guess there's only 2 more road courses for the season, so I'm definitely looking forward to both of those. The Monza Combined looks like that might be interesting, so we'll see how that goes.
Only pulling like 200 miles an hour down the straight at Monza Combined, so yeah, it should be all right.
Yeah, we're good. Everybody will survive, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. Shout outs for you here tonight.
Big thanks to the team. Team Watson sweeping the podium. That's pretty awesome. I'm proud of that for the boys. And of course, mentioning Precision Racing Instruction. That's like I've said before, that's my company there. We do coaching in the real world and also on the sim and all that kind of stuff. So anybody looking for a little tune-up, you can always reach out. And big thanks to you guys as usual for bringing this thing back. It's I'm having a blast with it every week. So it's definitely top of my list of races to run for the week. Always a good time. So good group of guys, and so yeah.
All righty. Well, you're taking a lot of momentum into the off week, and I know we'll talk to you again here very soon. But enjoy the time off, and congrats on the big finish here tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll see you next week or 2 weeks. Yeah.
And your race winner. Holy cow! If I could talk. Nate Seifker. I'm just so excited. I'm stumbling over my words here. Man, can't tell you how awesome it is to get you in here as a race winner when I'm in the booth. That's has always been the goal, and it's finally happened.
We've never done it.
You know what? Actually, now that I think about it, not in the Daredevil series, but we filled in on Raceverse one time, and I'm pretty sure you won at the Auto Club road course on that.
I did do that. I did.
So,
yeah. Okay.
But this is doing it our way. This is doing it proper. So,
right.
Welcome.
Thank you. It's a privilege to be here. It was a fun run tonight. We ran around in the back. and then we didn't run around the back, and I think we were on a strategy to win the race if the yellow didn't come out, and then we had to work a little harder than we wanted to, and then I got another yellow and had one shot and made that one shot count. It was pretty self-explanatory and easy tonight for the most part.
Well, your two big restarts. One, you were in control of the field. One, you were in second. It seemed to really string this field out. Was that the goal?
The second one, yes, to a degree. I wanted to be able to get a run on Chris. I didn't know exactly how it would pan out behind me. I thought there'd be a lot more action. So that second restart went as planned for the most part. I thought it would actually be a little tighter with the rear. That first restart was me initially launching in second and then realizing it about half a second having to shift to first. So that was not planned, but that actually really worked out quite well because nobody could get a run. So that kind of made me realize what I didn't need Chris to do on that restart, and it just worked out that way, I guess.
Well, you and what was a surprisingly calm race, all things considered. You went up 14 spots here tonight. You saw a lot. How do you think? I mean, obviously you won the race, but up until the closing stretch of the race, how do you think it was going?
I mean, that first stint, we really never cracked the top 10 until about 3 laps before we pitted. So we were watching a lot of stuff going on. We were trying to hit a field number that we just couldn't get to. So that's why we went to that second strategy that we went to. There were some people that were, I think if certain people in that second stint don't race very hard, it wouldn't have, it would have been just like a pack of 5. Instead, we had 7, then 10 all of a sudden. So that made our decision making there, that second stint, the reason why we went that path. And then that third stint was kind of balls to the wall and just go, I guess. That's what we did because nobody had to fuel save at that point. So we kind of just went as hard as we could and got that second yellow, and that's kind of how the race progressed. So it was overall, though, I think it was a little calmer than I expected. I think everybody trying to hit a field number that first stint made a big difference.
Matt, what do you got for your boy Nate here?
Absolutely massive congratulations. I asked Christopher about the 4-wide move on the apron. How did you feel about the how did you feel about the teammate taking you 4-wide down there?
I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I saw him go down there. I was like, I am not in a good position, and I backed out. Because I was like, there's no way all of us are surviving if I don't do something here. So I backed out and then slotted there and then went back around the outside there. So I feel like I'm really, really decent at these plate tracks. So that's why I'm a huge fan of them. So it's just a matter of figuring out where the runs are, figuring out how you can do it. So a little scary to answer your question, but overall I wasn't too concerned about it.
We were a little scared too.
I bet.
Man, it's so good to get you back up here in the booth. Let's get some shout-outs.
Yeah, I want to thank, of course, all you guys for being up here in the booth. It's awesome to have you guys up here. I want to thank you for putting the league together. It's a great series. Shame I couldn't run last week. I really wanted to run Suzuka, but unfortunately, work called and has stuck late at that night. But thank all the TWR teammates, Chris and James, for rounding the podium out. We're doing a really good run there, and everybody else that ran tonight. And just thank everybody else here in the league for being a great group of guys to run with.
All righty, partner. Heading into the off week on the back half of the season, you're on your front foot here, so it should be exciting to watch you go to work here in the back half of the season. But congrats on the win here tonight. Go party hard.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys.
Whew. I need a cigarette after the cow. Incredible stuff by the drivers here tonight. Only 2 cautions at Michigan?
2 cautions. That was
wow.
it.
And it sounds like the drivers all thought this stop race 2. So we are usually in the wrong about that, but it just sounds like it didn't happen, and just by a little bit. So it caught everybody, including us, by surprise. But wow. Wowie, wowie, wow. what do you want to say here before we close up shop for the night?
Oh, the finishes never disappoint here at Michigan. Shout out to everybody that came out to watch tonight. I had Ryan Dye at State Line Sim Racing here in the chat for a little bit. Your race winner, Nate Siefker, in the chat here in the beginning of the stream as well. The Rain Man, Garrett Rainey, always in the chat here for the Daredevil Series. Appreciate you always hanging out with us here. Cozy Freckles cheering on Dakota DeMade. And Paul Ellison when he hopped in after he had his little incident. So shout out to everybody that came out to watch tonight. Appreciate everybody. And we got one more stream left this week.
Yes. Maximum Velocity Racing League tomorrow night from Phoenix. Good old-fashioned truck racing out in the desert. That is going to be a blast. And I'm going to submit a correction on myself here because I said it's career podium number 7 for Christopher Hill. It's actually career podium number 8. And that's only the things that I care about. But if I didn't say that on air, I would give myself grief later tonight. So, yes, we are off next week. Daredevil Series mid-season break for these drivers. Let them catch themselves, gather their spirits back up before we pummel them back into submission in round number 7 of the 3rd season of the Daredevil Series. It is at the Turn 200 home race of Chicagoland. It is the debut of Daredevil Racing at Chicagoland. Oh boy, I'm excited for that. That is going to be fantastic. And we hope we can see you back here for that on your way out of the stream tonight. If you're not already, hit the subscribe button. We've picked up quite a few subs here in the last week or two. It's the support on this channel lately has been fantastic. We can't thank everybody enough for coming out and hanging out with us and watching these races. And I know these drivers appreciate it as well. So that is all we've got for you here for tonight. For everybody here with the Daredevil Series and Turn 200, for the GOAT, Mr. Matt Williamson, I've been Tommy Cook. Until we meet again, we say so long from virtual Legacy Michigan International Speedway, where Nate Siefker stands tall for the 2nd time in his career.